Welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about thankfulness, gratitude, and toxic gratitude. So let's dive in. Hello and welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I have a fascinating topic to share with you, and that is gratitude. When I first started to hear about gratitude, I totally got that it would impact your mood. Being grateful is a thought pattern, and so certainly that would help change your thoughts for the better. What I didn't realize is what a profound impact practicing gratitude can have on our bodies, and specifically on our immune health. You see, I'm a recovering realist, which is also known as a pessimist. But of course, if you are a pessimist, you don't call yourself that. You say you're a realist, just telling things the way they really are. But even in my practicing days of realism, I loved the energy I would feel when I was around people who were happy, positive, and carefree. And I longed to feel that way. But it's really hard to feel carefree when you're constantly looking for what could go wrong or what might go wrong. So in looking for where to begin, I loved watching Oprah, and she talked about having a gratitude journal. And I thought, hey, that's something I could do. So I grabbed a journal and I began to write at the end of every day 3 things that I was grateful for. And I started to notice some small improvements in my overall feeling of happiness. And then I heard somewhere a quote that really changed the way I thought about things. And the quote was, "You don't have to believe everything you think." See, we think that our identity is our thoughts, but it's not. We are this being, and we are inside our bodies, and our brain has thousands of thoughts a day. But those thoughts are not necessarily the essence of who we are. Those thoughts are from the millions of stimuli that we interact with daily. Those thoughts may come from beliefs that we took on as children, that we heard from our families, our parents, our teachers, people in the streets, the television, and we took them as truth because as children, we aren't necessarily great at filtering things or thinking critically about all of the information that's coming into our bodies. And so we adopt a lot of things as truth without really stopping to think about if they serve us, if they're in line with our morals and beliefs. And we kind of adapt our personality to these thoughts sometimes. And so hearing that, I realized that I could really stop and process those thoughts without just taking them at face value. You see, our brain is kind of like a filter. All of the information coming in could be overwhelming. And so our brain chooses which tidbits of information to process and bring into our conscious mind. You can think of it like Google, like a search engine. There is a ton of information out there. The only information it's going to bring to us is the stuff that we type into that search engine. So think about what you expose yourself to, consciously and subconsciously every day. Watch the news, you're telling your brain that tragedy and negativity are important to you. And so your brain will search out and make you aware of more of that. Relate with certain friends by complaining about things all the time? Again, you're sending that message to your brain that this is important to you, and it's going to look for more things for you to complain about. So when I realized this whole idea of not having to believe every thought I have as truth, I realized that our initial thoughts that come to us, we can't easily control those. Those come from our subconscious. And it takes a while to reprogram that. But what we can control is our second thought. So if I see something and I have an immediate negative reaction, I don't have to say that thought out loud to reinforce it. And I can pause, think up a new thought that is more in line with the person I want to become. And even just intentionally thinking that second thought, whether I say it out loud or not, will help to reprogram my brain, my subconscious. I am changing the ads that are coming up in my social media and Google based on what I am putting into that search engine. So I'll give you an example. In the past, I was a pretty judgmental person, both of myself and of others. And so sometimes I would see people and I would think, oh my gosh, I can't believe that person is doing XYZ or wearing XYZ. But as I started to reprogram myself, when those thoughts would come up, I would pause and intentionally I would change that thought to, wow, that's amazing that this person has the confidence to wear XYZ or to do XYZ, because that is what is true to them. I'm going to work on having more confidence to wear and do the things that make me feel good. And so at first, it feels very unnatural because it's not my normal way of thinking. It's not the way that I thought or processed my thoughts for many years. And so I just kept doing it. And much like any habit or thing you change, it very quickly starts to get easier and easier. And next thing you know, you're throwing those thoughts in without having to stop and really think about them. Your brain automatically starts to give you those second thoughts in line with where you want to be as you are slowly transitioning your thoughts. Much like writing in the journal. So the reason the journal was so helpful, what I didn't realize at first, I did it just because people said you should do it and it works. But as I learned more about gratitude, I realized that taking a moment not only to think about things that I was grateful for, but to actually write them down, that action along with the thought told my brain, hey, this is important. This is important to us. We better start looking for more things like this. And sure enough, throughout the day, I would become more aware in the present moment of things that were happening for which I was grateful. So instead of just looking back at the end of the day and going, oh yeah, this happened today and that was great, I became aware in the moment when things happened. I felt in the moment, wow, this is great. I am so grateful, not only that this is happening, but that I can be aware of and appreciate it in the present moment, which is such a gift. And so slowly my thoughts began to change. Like I said, I still had those negative thoughts, but I very quickly threw in a more intentional thought that matched the person that I wanted to be. And in fact, the person I was becoming. And then one day, the smallest thing happened. And yet for me, it was such a profound moment. I was at the grocery store one day, running in and out, just grabbing a few things. You know, when you're kind of in a rush and you're in your head and you're already on to the next thing. I'm on my way back out to my car. I've been in the grocery store less than 5 minutes. In my head, I'm already going through what I need to do when I get home, getting dinner ready, other chores, things with the kids, etc. When I'm walking up to my car and I see a shopping cart parked right behind my back bumper. Now, the old me, who was a realist, would have looked at that and thought, oh my goodness, I can't believe somebody was so lazy and inconsiderate that they left their cart behind my car. They just didn't even give a crap about how inconvenient that would be for me, and now I have to put it away because they were too lazy. That was my old thought pattern. But in that moment, the first thought that unconsciously popped into my brain was, I haven't done a good deed yet today, and here the universe has handed me one on a silver platter. How great is that? And I stopped and I chuckled because that was the moment that I realized that I had done it. I had actually reprogrammed my subconscious thoughts to be more in line with the person I was becoming. And I went and I took that cart and I put it away in the shopping cart corral. And the funny part was, as I was putting it away, I could see that the cart corral was actually pretty full. And I realized that most likely what had happened was someone had put their cart away, but it hadn't fully attached to the cart in front of it. And so it rolled out, and there was a very slight incline from the cart to my car, or from my car to the cart corral. And so most likely the cart just rolled out and landed by my car. It wasn't that someone had intentionally left it there because they didn't give a crap. Yet thinking that previously would have impacted my mood, probably for the next half hour, maybe more. And it's a story that I had made up that was most likely completely untrue. And so changing our thoughts can impact not only our mind and our mood, but also our bodies. See, when we practice genuine gratitude, it releases these amazing chemicals in our body. Oxytocin, which sometimes we call the love chemical or hormone, dopamine, and serotonin, which are all feel-good hormones. They go throughout our body and they decrease our blood pressure, they decrease stress, anxiety, depression, and they decrease inflammation. And we know that stress, particularly, decreases immune function. So reducing stress will also improve our immune function. Now, the other thing about gratitude is that as I took a deeper dive into this, because as I noticed these profound changes mentally in my mind, my well-being, my thoughts, it really impacted my life. And I wanted to learn more about why. It's cool, but I wanted to know why. And I learned that sometimes we can get gratitude wrong. What I mean by this is that often we are thankful for things and we call that gratitude, but there's a difference. So being thankful or thankfulness is more of a transaction. So if someone holds a door open for you, you appreciate it. You say thank you, maybe smile at each other, and then you go about your day. And it doesn't really stick with you. It is more of a cognitive or a mental form of appreciation. Genuine gratitude is a deep appreciation that uses not only our mind, but our body. You feel appreciation in your body. It is this glow. It's a lingering effect. Just feels so great, so deep, maybe so profound. And that is when we really have that release of these wonderful positive hormones that create all these benefits in our body. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't know this when I started. And when I started with my journal, honestly, I was writing down things that I was thankful for. Is that okay? Sure. I mean, that's where I started on my journey. So I started as a pessimist. And at that point, even just being thankful for things and looking for things to be thankful for was an upgrade for me. And then as I moved through thankfulness and became more aware of thankful moments in my day-to-day life, I also stumbled upon gratitude, those moments of deep appreciation that stayed with me and carried throughout the day. And now I still practice gratitude, sometimes by writing it down, sometimes just by reflecting on it, but mostly by being aware of it in the moment and feeling that feeling of just goodness and connection to whatever it is that I'm truly grateful for. And so some great ideas on the difference between the two. If I'm writing in my journal about what I'm thankful for, I might say, I'm thankful for my husband. But if I'm writing about gratitude, then I'm going to be more specific. I'm going to think of a particular moment that filled me with love and genuine appreciation for him. So I might say, I am grateful for the way my husband looks at me when he tells me how much he loves me. And I can revisit that moment and feel how it felt when he looked at me and said that. So I'm revisiting that appreciation, which is sort of giving me all those great feelings again. So practicing genuine gratitude is about being very specific about the thing that caused us to feel that deep appreciation. Another interesting thing I've learned about gratitude is sometimes we can get it wrong. So there's actually something called toxic gratitude, and that is when we're using gratitude in unhealthy and unhelpful ways. And when we do that, we're not getting the benefits, both mentally and physically, that we get when we practice deep, genuine gratitude. And I'll be honest, I have practiced several of these, probably still do, have to be more aware of catching myself when I do these things. But being aware of them is a great way to start to cleanse your practices of these things. So what does toxic gratitude look like? Toxic gratitude is when we use gratitude to gloss over the bad things in life and focus only on the good. And we use it sometimes to manipulate others into doing what we want them to do. There's 6 different types of toxic gratitude, and I won't get into all of them, but if you really want to take a deep dive on gratitude and toxic gratitude, Mel Robbins has a great podcast on this, and you can check her out, and she goes through them all in detail with examples. But a few examples of what toxic gratitude might look like are when you say to your kids, I cooked you this dinner. You should be grateful you have anything to eat. You know, if they're complaining that they don't like what was put on the table before them. And what this does is it takes the actions that we do for others and it minimizes them, because it basically tells people, if I do something for you, I'm expecting that you do something for me in return. So it's not really an action of kindness. It's really just an IOU. And I've done this. And another way we see toxic gratitude is on social media. So you see those posts where there's their beautiful vacation posts and holding hands, and they talk about their partner, the love of their life, and how grateful they are for them. But then when you see that person in person, all they do is complain about their spouse. They go on and on with the list of complaints about how miserable they are. And so this is toxic gratitude. Can we still post those happy moments? Absolutely. But saying something like, I love you through the ups and downs, and boy, have we been through a lot, but I'm so grateful that we've built a deeper connection. So genuine gratitude leaves space for all the negative feelings and the negative pieces, because we have to have both. In order to truly appreciate and feel deep gratitude, we also have to feel hurt, pain, disappointment, the negative pieces that go with that. It's a balance. And when we are glossing over the pain, you know, if we lose someone and we say, well, I'm just grateful they didn't suffer. But we can also say how devastated we are to lose them. I am so devastated that they are not here anymore. And I'm grateful that they are no longer suffering. Genuine gratitude leaves space for both of these things to be true at the same time. I hope that you've taken even at the smallest nugget from today's episode, and I truly appreciate that you have taken the time to listen to me today. I am grateful for your time. Until next time, stay healthy.